Everybody, just going to catch up there now, give people a couple of minutes to get in, just making sure I'm online. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see me in the chat, because I can't see on here. One second, just refreshing, just in case it's just that. Not doing very well for internet at the moment, not really sure what's going on. Just give me a second and hopefully we'll be all sorted. Just taking a while for my computer to refresh. Hello Donna and Jamie and Jack, I can see you guys in the chat. I'm just can't see the audio at the video at the minute, so I'm not really sure whether I'm online or not. I hope I am. It's taken a while for my computer to update itself. Could somebody give me a thumbs up if they can see me on camera, just so I know? Here we go. Right, howdy doody Susie. Awesome, thank you. Right, now I know we're okay. As you can see, I'm not at my desk. Unfortunately, yesterday I had a fall getting out of the bath and I've damaged his arm. So I am coming to live from my bedroom, as you can see, with the thousands of catchers over the bed. They don't work though. I can see everybody coming in. I can see Kevin and Jason, Wildman UK, Mike Wright, Gillian, Patrick, hi Stu. I'm going to be ignorant for a little while because I'm going to have to go to my notes and chat to everyone. But hello, Mick. I'm just giving everyone a minute to arrive. So spring has finally sprung on us. It's quite nice out there, isn't it? Unfortunately, I can't really enjoy it, but it's not been too bad. We've had quite a few new reports come in this month. One from 2 nights ago, one from last weekend, and one from the weekend before. So it would seem there has been a massive change in the reporting and people knowing where to report, because most of the reports have come in through either BBR members or people who know what we do, who have noticed other people putting stories and encounters out there and they've sent us over to him. Chris Mitchell sent me one today that had gone out on Reddit. A gentleman in Delamere on Saturday night. I'll give you some more details in a minute about it. So I've just contacted him before to come online, and I'm going to have a chat with him when we finish being online. So that's where we're up to. So I'm going to go to my script. Hello, Johnny. As I can see, everyone is now in. So, as I say, April's here. We've had to cancel 2 meets. And I think going into May, we're probably going to have to cancel the Sherwood one in June. I'm hoping not, but I would imagine we're going to have to. So, hello, Richard. So that's what I'm going to do. So for anyone who's just tuned in tonight for the sighting reports, I will put a link down. Jack's just said in the questions that it's probably because there's less people about, and I think that might actually be what's going on, because when I get into the sightings and I explain it to you, 2 of them are road crossing creatures. So it would seem that as the roads are dead, in the last 4 weeks we've had 2 creatures caught crossing from one side of the road to the other. And then they wouldn't have. I would like to thank all of our new members who have joined in the last 2 months, because they have joined in their droves. We've had people with experience in the paranormal, UFO realms, you name it. People have volunteered for help and they've joined, and they are on the private map. So I am hoping that you are accessing your map and getting in touch with each other. If you've lost the link to the members map, just let me know in email and I'll pop you a new one. I'm glad about that, because we've had a large number of people join from the northeast, believe it or not. So we've got Mike Crombie, who's found a route really between Belsay and the Bollum reports. There's a few people doing researchers down in the northeast, and I wanted to try and get you together. I have asked a couple of times, but it's not been successful. But the Northeast now has the largest number of memberships, and that is growing daily. So there's so many of you up there. It'd be great if you could get in touch with each other, and so, because you might be researching the same places, you might be finding the same finds. It might just be a good idea to interconnect. As you can see, Johnny and Stu are in the chat tonight. They're both researchers in the Northeast. If you're a new researcher and you're interested in finding out what to do and what the signs are for and how to go about it, they both research in very different ways. So it's good to interconnect with lots of different people with different opinions, I think, on how to go about things. Try them on for size, see what works for you, and then, or completely ignore it and go your own. 15 researchers now are up above Yorkshire. I'm not talking all of the northeast coast, just the top end of the northeast coast, what I would call the northeast. There's about 15 of you up there now, and it'd be really good if you could all get networking between yourselves. You're all on the private map, but I can put you in touch with each other if you want me to. It's just add you all into one email and it's done. So let me know. So over the coming months, I will be adding all of the finds that come in, because there are so many now and I can't go through them all. I'm going to add them to have a look at them. Add your own in there if you want. And the idea being that as all the new information comes in, possible prints, possible structure finds, possible glyphs, I was thinking one of the best things that we could do is put them all together in one album. And then if any of us can say, oh, I know what that is, we can then discount that, take it out of the album, and any like for like of that, get rid of it. And let's narrow down the pool of finds until we've got a core group of things that we cannot explain, that we can say, this is unexplainable. We've done everything we can to debunk it. We've asked everybody we can if they are doing it or why they would be doing it. And we can't come up for an answer with this. And then that way we can narrow down the scope of what we're looking for. Instead of having such a wide net, we'd have a much more condensed database to go off. And I was chatting with a few of the guys and they said, can we not do that for the paranormal stuff that comes in, Deb, and the UFO stuff? It's just Bigfoot stuff in that album. So I said, well, it's only a 5-second thing to set the album up. It's a simple matter of create album. We put the images in there. So if people are interested in that, if they would be interested in a Google album where they can upload paranormal reports or strange finds and anomalies that doesn't come under the Bigfoot thing, or we could just keep them all in the one. It's entirely up to you, but let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know what you think. So as I said, I'm going to be adding lots of them. So anybody who wants the link, just get in touch with me and I'll just pop it across an email for you. It is on the private map. When you go onto the private map, there is a little BBR post, and when you click on it, it gives you the links to everything, so like the podcast and things like that. It is on there, but if you're struggling to find it, just let me know and I can let you know. I just think it's a good way of us being able to see what's happening around the country at what time, and it might even, I am hoping, if it is successful over the years, that we might be able to see a pattern in when the reports start to, when, you know, say, I find that a lot of the very small prints come in around this time of year, from January to about March, April, May time. The woods are normally very quiet. And then as we get to spring, normally it would be 3 or 4 weeks from now when we would start to see early structure, early footprint finds, lots of snaps and twists and all of the things that we look for. And that's happening at the moment. So this year there's a bit of an anomaly. We've gone a bit early this year. And it'd be nice for me to be able to track those anomalies, because it may give us an insight into a habit or a time of year before we can, you know, so we can pin them together. That's me reading the comments. I shouldn't do it because I get distracted. I also think Bigfoot, UFO, paranormal, you name it, I think it's all in one big tangled ball of weave, and, you know, we're all pulling on a different string of it. I think we've all got a little bit of the answer. So, moving swiftly on, that brings me to my friend Mick McLaren, who is actually in the chat at the moment. Mick has worked out many of the ley lines that are in the UK. So what I suggested with him, we had a chat the other night, me and him, and that'll be coming up for you next week. You'll be able to watch that. But briefly, Mick has offered, he said, if you've got a research area or you've had a sighting in an area and you want to know if there's a ley line running through that or running close to that so that you can access it yourself, if you get in touch with Mick, and there is the website link that will be in the description below later on when this goes onto YouTube, you can get in touch with Mick at his website, and or through me, and he will try and get you as close to a ley line as he can in your area of choice. Now, for anybody who's watching in the live, I'm going to pop the link to Mick's website here now. I don't think he has a YouTube channel. I think he just has the website, but I will check back with you on that. Off. But me and GP have done it for a while. He'll put his pictures in, I put my pictures in. You can comment, you can chat, you can say, oh, I'm not sure about that one, Deb. I think that one might be rabbit scratch, or we can put one in and we can say, well, actually, we can't explain this one. We don't know what they're in. So we've been doing that for a while. There's a small group of us, but I wanted to open it for everybody, really. Because lots of people will message me and say, Deb, I'm not too sure about this picture, I'm not too sure about that picture. If we had somewhere where people can say, actually, we've debunked that, and there's the reason why we've debunked it. Or, oh no, that's a great one because we don't know what that is, so that goes in the pile of, let's keep that for a bit later and have a look. What was the other one I wanted to go over? Yeah, enable us to crack the code of signs and gifts, because we're all seeing them, we're all finding them, but we don't know what there are. I think many of the ground sticks that you find pushed in are to do with Mick and his ley lines. Not Mick personally, but you get what I mean. I think it's to do with earth energy. I think they may be grounding sticks of some kind. And I think that they are pushed into the earth to access that access that energy. I also think some of the teepee structures that we find are not big enough to be a den or out in the open or something like that. I'm really wondering if they could be to do with energy of some kind. I'm not sure. Some people even suggested to me that they might be people traps, that the reason they are there is so that you stop and you look at them, and the next thing you know, that's in some of the strange anomalies that we find. And many of you will have noticed last week that we put up a set of jaws that were kind of crossed like that, and none of us could work out what they was. And the researcher's wife had gone out on the walk that we were allowed to take with the children, and she'd found them and thought they were really, really strange because they were lay out there on the path. So she took a photograph of them and went home. And when she got home, he sent them into BBR, and I said to him, did she have a size on it? And he said, yes. She said they were 3 to 4 millimeters. And I made a mistake and typed in the report 3 to 4 inches, which is a massive difference, isn't it? So once we'd cleared that one up, he didn't have to, but off his own back, he said, I'll just go back tomorrow, Deb, and take some more photos of him. So when he went back and he had a look around, he found a peeled squirrel's face, like the entire skin was off. And he also found a pheasant that was completely unplucked, so it wasn't a poacher. I would suggest it was probably someone with a new air rifle, because A, it's sinful what they've done, and B, if you were poaching, you wouldn't leave the meat behind, would you? So somebody's kind of peeled the squirrel's head, left it there, arranged the jaws very strangely on the path. So to me, that speaks of someone who's just trying to freak somebody out down there. I don't think it's anything wildman related at all. But things like that, because you're all spread over so many platforms, you've got Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and a million more, all of the blogs and the websites and everything. It's really hard to get everybody looking at the same image at the same time. So that was the idea of coming up with a Google album, because you can just have a scan through and have a look, and it's much easier. There's been a number of footprint finds this month. I think GP was one of those as well that found a print. There's 2 other sets of prints that have come in, but I've not had time to look at them yet, unfortunately. I was going to do it last night, but as I say, the reason I'm a bit off today and I'm not my normal snappy self, I was waiting for Mark to come and get me out of the bath, and I was a bit impatient and thought, go on, have a try. And I got up to have a try and I fell. And I've knocked myself, but when I fell, the bath side went here, so I've like bruised all my lady bumps and all the inside of my arms black and blue. It's really, really sore, but I'm so fall. I have him so often now. I'm so used to him, so that's why I'm in my bed tonight. And then last week I dropped something on my foot, and my foot's black and blue. So it's been one of those weeks. So, new reports. Let me just check my time so I can write in. Right, there are a number of reports that have come in. It's been really strange. Normally this time of year it's very quiet. There's a definite pattern, ebb and flow throughout the year, or there has been for at least the last 6 years that I've noticed it, where it goes very, very quiet around harvest and you don't get that many reports. And it could be that they go somewhere. Hello, Lauren Lass. Or that they are not as active at that time of year. It may be that we aren't as out as much at that time of year, and that's why it goes quiet until the spring again. I don't know. But there seems to have been a definite change because of this, everybody having to stay indoors. So, as many of you will know, on the 28th of March, I did let as many people know as I could that in the Golspie area of Scotland, we had a gentleman get in touch. He's not a member or anything like that. And it surprised me that he found me so quickly, and the climate has changed. We're out there. People know about BBR now. There are lots and lots of members. I think there's a couple of 100 members now. Not everybody's on the map. So they're talking to people about what they do, what they're interested in, that kind of thing. So they're spotting things in groups, getting in touch with the people and saying, look, we collect sighting reports like this. If you're interested, come along and join us and we'll investigate yours. And a number of them have come in that way. But this gentleman got hold of me himself. He lives close to 3 old quarries, and we know that quarries are important to them. He said it was about 7:30 at night. It was a night that the clocks changed, that Saturday night. He said it was just on dim. It wasn't dark and it wasn't light. It was just on I think they call it the gloaming in Scotland, that. And he heard the gate, very heavy gate up top that he'd never heard before when he was in the wood. And it kind of startled him, that, because there shouldn't be anybody around. And he said he just thought, well, it's probably the farmer. But he didn't hear the tractor, and he'd never seen the farmer up there without his tractor. So out of curiosity, he climbed up to a point where he could see, and he looked down. He had his small son with him, and he said whatever it was that had banged the gate was moving down away from him, and it was, I actually wrote it down, a black figure. There were no colours that he could make out. It was all one colour, and he doubted that a human could have crossed the terrain in the 2 or 3 seconds it took him to. And that's all the information I have on it. I did email him back and ask him and say, is this okay if I share it? And all. He never got back to me, so I'm still a bit in limbo with that one. Another gentleman got in touch with me, and he gave me an account that had happened on his parents' land in Axholme in Yorkshire. And they have dog kennels. And so there's a large number of dogs. I think there was 5 in one kennels and 3 in the other kennels. And he said that his parents had to get up about 2 a.m. in the morning to a massive commotion. When they went downstairs, all of the dogs will lay on their bellies, covering their bellies, which is very unusual for dogs, normally when they're scared. And they had actually wet themselves and made a mess everywhere. So something out there on the land had terrified them. And obviously the couple know the dogs, and they said that they couldn't understand why, because they weren't the sort of dogs. And when these 8 dogs, they're not normally scared of anything, to be honest, because they have the pack mentality, don't they? And whatever it was scared them enough that they covered the bellies up. Now we go to Barossa. I'm not sure if it's Barossa Common or Barossa Common in Surrey. And it was a couple in the woodlands only last week, and they were walking round, and they experienced some strange behaviour. And I say strange behaviour because normally an animal will avoid you in the woods. So a deer's run off, foxes run off. You don't see them, they skulk around you. So it's very rare that you see an animal. And when you do, you're very privileged. And they don't normally give themselves away by growling, snarling, any of the above. So we always take those reports because obviously it could be large cats. We have to take that into account, and that's very interesting. Where a large cat can survive, there is clearly a decent protein source. So this couple were, as I say, Barossa Common, I think it is, and they heard snarls, grunts and growls that followed them around the wood, and that is also strange. Animals don't tend to shadow you and give themselves away. It's usually one or the other, because shadowing you is keeping you from seeing them. So why would they give themselves away by, by making a noise? And here I am, but I'm hiding. It just doesn't make sense. They normally slink and will come behind you, most animals. It might just be me generalising, but that was happening in Surrey. Same thing again, Edgerton Quarry. Mick, the guy we were chatting about before, who has the Leyline site, he's teamed his blog up with my map. So he's looking at ancient sites, ancient finds, any strange areas of energy and paranormal reports, any reports that come in that are of the alternative subjects, as they call them. And he's going to plot them himself, and he's been putting articles in there and everything. If you're into shucks and things like that, you really will enjoy it. And he was out with his lovely lady over a 2-week period. I'm hoping I'm getting this right. The first time they went to Edgerton, it was fine, not a whole lot going on. Second visit, which was just last week, the healthy thick birch trees that had been snapped in half, very fresh breaks, probably only been done the day before, and they were also shadowed and growled because it was night time and they were testing out the torches. So Mick was shining torches into the bushes there, and they were growled at and shadowed out of the wood. And that behaviour is becoming more and more prevalent. I am hearing more and more reports where people are in the woods and they are being shadowed within the trees by something that they cannot see, that will sometimes growl at them or snarl, grunt. Hoof is also mentioned, this big hoof noise that they hear, and it almost seems like they are being corralled out of the wood in some way. Now the next report comes from Cleckheaton. I think I've got that right, Cleckheaton, because I'd say Cleckheaton in Yorkshire. And this is from a police officer. And a police officer, she was a P8 female police officer, and they were at a crime scene of a dead gentleman, and there was predation on the body. So in any suspicious death, or if they find you dead outside, they're going to get the police involved. So obviously they have to stay in and mind the crime scene until the SOCO's come in and everything else. The doctor pronounces death. So it's going on dim, evening time, and that's exactly what they're doing. There's a tent over the body. She's the nearest officer to the tent, and she said she turned around quickly and there was something there that had kind of sneaked up on her. She saw the eye shine. She couldn't make it out clearly, but it was up to mid-height on her, and she set off screaming, and the other police officer obviously ran over. And the actual autopsy said that the predation was natural on the body. That's what it ended up as. So, as I say, that was Yorkshire. Next one is Pendle Hill, Lancashire, not too far from me. And this happened to one of our members, Chris, who we met in strange circumstances. My daughter moved out last month into her own flat with a boyfriend, and we were going up there to see the flat, and it's a gated community, so it's quite hard to get in there. So as we came from the inn, a car pulled up behind us and said to my son-in-law, is that Deborah Hatswell? And he was really embarrassed. He didn't know what to say, and he was just like, yeah, why? And he said, well, I'm really into it. And I was driving down the road and I'm listening to Sasquatch Chronicles, and I looked up and there's a car, and obviously on the back of my car it has the window stickers that we have, the BBR. I'm a BBR member, and I'm a cryptid and paranormal researcher. Basically, tap on and let me know your report. And he is one of our researchers from not too far away from me. We actually live probably about a mile away from each other. Without doing a paranormal night in October last year, and he said they were in the tent camping over in a small bit of woodland, and there isn't a whole lot of woodland around the Pendle Hill. Can't say that anybody would have walked up there to do this because it's quite a trek in. But he said there was a consistent growling that happened over and over and over during the night, and all three of them heard it. Never saw what it was, but he said it had a cadence to it, like you could feel the growl of it, and we've heard that before, haven't we? Then we go to Llangollen, and Llangollen is ongoing activity. And the lady that's made a report down there saw a large canine, and it walked from. She said the pass splits at the river, and one of the paths goes off. I must admit, she lives in rural Wales, I should say. One of the paths that leads off runs to an old disused farm that's not used anymore. And she's had a bit of strange activity on her land, bit of a feeling of not being welcome in some of the areas. And she was walking the dog, and she said she saw this dark thing coming down the path, and it took her a few moments to realise that it was a wolf, but it was upright on two legs, and it was walking, well, running at top speed, and it stopped at the bridge to catch its breath. And she didn't say that it knew she was there or anything like that. And it's been a strange set of ongoing events since, so I will keep you up to date with that one. And this is only just at the end of the year, so this is quite recent as well. Now, one that goes back a little bit is the big green man at the end of Nan's Garden. I like this one. It was in Derbyshire. And I always say to people that when it happened to me, I pushed my friend and ran away. Well, there's a joke going around Facebook at the minute, and it says, I do like you, but if we see Bigfoot, I'm going to push you over and run, kind of thing, right? So there's these kids, and they tell the dad, he said, I'm in the car with the kids, and my daughter says to my son, do you remember that time when we saw the green man at the end of Nan's Garden? And my son was like, yeah. So he said, obviously I was interested, so I asked him what they went. And they said when they were younger, they used to go to the Nans every weekend. And he had a look at it on the map, and it's like typical Nan's Gardens right at the edge of the town. And it's just farms and fields and parks and just streams and rivers. It's absolutely lovely. Lots of wooded land. No way really into the garden. There's a big privet edge at the end. But the kids have gone right to the end to where the greenhouse was, and she said they looked up and there was a green man there with red eyes. So they both shot back to Nan's, but she ran in the door, shut the door to make herself safe, and left the brother outside. So the poor brother got locked outside, so that's obviously why they remember it. But it tickled me because I thought that is exactly how you'd, if you're under 10 and you see something like that, that is exactly how you'd act in it. She just ran, gave no thought to anybody else, and just got herself in the house as quick as she could. Now, another new one that came in on the 6th of this month, so the 6th of April. It happened at 8:30 p.m. and it came into we have two members called Mike and Sean. No, I think it's Mark. I've probably got it wrong. The Spiking Brothers. And they got a report from me from a gentleman called Marvin, who is doing the food deliveries at the moment. So he's allowed out and about on the roads. And he's in Market Raisin, so just between Market Raisin and Louth. And he's on one of the small roads that comes down and meets that main Riverbain Road there. And he said as he's coming round the corner, he sees, stood at the edge of the verge, what he would describe as, from seeing him on the internet, as a Sasquatch. He said he could only see this side of it, so he only saw, he's driving at it and he's only seeing this, but he could see that quite clearly. He stopped about 30 metres away because he didn't want to go out further, and he said he had to. Eventually he had to drive on, so he drove on quite slowly, and the Sasquatch, as he put it, ducked in, went under, and because in the UK you get lots of like trees and there's a little bit of a verge and then the road's there, so he's ducked in down the verge and gone into the forest. He's pulled the truck over as he's driving and he's looked, and he said there's just like a dead rabbit on the floor, but he couldn't see that had already gone into the woods. That was 8:30 at night, so it would have been more or less dark. I mean, what are we on now? Yeah, we're on 8:30 now, and it's street lights are on. It's not bad, and you could see quite clearly in this, even if you were driving. Just a little bit dusk. The next one came in from the Tyrol in the Alps, and it's back from one of our YouTube friends, and she told me back in 1983 when her and her husband were very young, they were 19 at the time, he was in the RAF, and they were lucky enough to stay at the Interlaken Hotel at the Alps there, but not in the main hotel. They stayed in a small caravan on the grounds, and she said the hotel was completely shut. The swimming pool was frozen over. You couldn't use it or anything like that. So they had the entire place to themselves. And when you look it up on the map, it's just this little hotel in a vast amount of forest. And she said they were just taking photos of each other. And in one of them, she had red eyes. And she said she joked to him and said, you know, I look like the Yeti of the Tyrol. And she said what was really, really strange was the next morning when they got up, they opened the caravan door and there was a huge set of footprints that went round the caravan a number of times and would turn in and look in the window and then obviously continue. And she said there was no way they were a man's footprints. They were absolutely massive. And she presumed that someone had done it. But there was no footprints in or out of anyone who would have made the stamp. And she said even then we had an Instamatic camera, so we took some photos of it. But unfortunately, over the years, this is so long ago, they've moved that many times, she doesn't have those anymore. So no, we didn't get to see those, but that's an interesting one. I had a look, because when a report comes in, I always have a look what else I can find out there on the internet about it. And I did find a number of other reports between there that run across the Alps of a Neanderthal type sighting. And it was classed as a village of a number of them. And then there are two reports that have come in just this weekend. So one today and one yesterday. And the very way that I said, one member in Yorkshire was contacted by some gentlemen who were not paying heed to the lockdown and having a few cans outside. And they were approached by something they described as the dog shit creature because it smelled of dog shit. Pardon my French, mate. So none of that fancy wood bugger stuff with us lot. That's kind of what it's been called, so that it's go down in history now as the dog shit monster. And the second one is the one that was sent to me by Chris Mitchell, and he'd found a gent who was looking on Reddit for somebody who had seen the same as him. And he was on the A556, so the road that runs through Delamere Forest. And we have a number of reports in Delamere Forest, as you know. So he was driving through there not last night, the night before. So what would that be, Friday? He was driving through there about 3 o'clock in the morning, coming back from work, and he saw a grey, this is how he described it, a grey humanoid creature crouched at the side of the road. And he said if it had uncrouched, because it crossed the road on all fours, if it had stood up, it would have been about 8 or 9 feet tall, but it didn't. It stayed down on all fours at all times, and it just took off across the road in front of him, and he just called it the dark grey humanoid figure. So I have messaged him. As soon as I got it off Chris, I went straight over and I messaged the chap, and just as I was about to come on tonight, about 5 to 8, I seen the message come in from him, because I just put, do you mind having a chat about it? Because I collect reports like that from all across the UK, and I'd seen the message come in, and he said, no, not at all, just get back in touch and I'll tell you whatever you need to know. So I will bring you more reports on that one. Now we go to the United States and Canada, because don't forget we have members there. We have a Native American elders account from the Klamath River who said he saw what he describes as Sasquatch in a kind of fizzling golden light one day, and it kind of materialised in front of him and then it went away. We also have a snowboarder from the UK who was in Aspen, Colorado on holiday in 2006, who saw what he described as what looked like a man in a thick, black, long, Crombie coat. It was that big, and it was walking up the mountainside towards him, and it did a sharp turn, like turned on a dime, as the Americans said, and go straight into the woods away. Then we have a paranormal investigator. This is in the Rockies. He was driving home at 6 a.m. in the morning from a paranormal night investigation, and he said something crossed the road in front of him. It was jet black. It was over 6 feet tall, and he stopped and he watched it run into the woods alongside the road. Another report is the Rocky Ledge Wild Moon. This happened in the 1960s. And the gent said he was a kid back then, and he was having a picnic by the side of the St. Vrain River. And he said he saw what was something very large, probably around 8 feet tall. And he put the word he in it, had long grey hair. He also said his face was darker, and he did almost look human, but he described him as a wild man, and he was standing up on the rocky ledge above. The next one is a large, naked, hairy person from 1995, also in the Rocky Mountain Ranges, in Chautauqua Park. He said it was autumn. He was at uni there, and one of the cheapest things he could do that he liked was to go up to Lookout Point and watch the lights of the city come in as it got dark, and that's where he was. And he said something came out of the trees and was really startling. It had broad shoulders and a relatively small, pointed or bullet-shaped head that also ran into the woods away from him and just took off. Another one comes in from a lady. This happened in 71, and it was a really interesting story. And she said that her and her husband was in the local bar one night, and he bought, having a few drinks too many, he bought a mining claim, and he came home with the claim wrote down on a napkin and packed them all up the next day and took them off to Sugarloaf Mountain to live in a cabin. I think they're still there now. That didn't have a whole lot going for it in 1971. But they lived in what she described as an A-frame cabin. So she said it was very basic. And the two boys were upstairs in the loft, and her and her hubby were downstairs with the smaller child. And she said her son woke up screaming in the middle of the night. And she said the cabin back right onto the mountainside. She said for something to have looked through that window, it would have had to have been at least 8 feet tall, even if it was standing on the incline. And the son basically said that there was a massive hairy face looking at him through the window. So he was absolutely petrified by it. And she said obviously they've grown up now and they've got lives of their own. But my son came down to see us last week, and I said to him, do you remember that time when he said he was only about 6? And he said he absolutely did. And now, so that was quite validating for her. And then we have 2 reports that have come into Jeremiah. Jeremiah's running the American-Canadian side of BBR. 2 reports that have come into him. One of a gent who saw Sasquatch, and the other one is a young lass who saw a dog man. So he's taking those reports for me as we speak, and then I'll bring them to you in the next live feed. And the last one is Craven County in the strange alligator case. We have a researcher that lives there. They've gone into the forest using the train trestle, the train line, and then there's a trestle that crosses the bayou, and he found an alligator probably about 5 feet long, and it had bites out the top of its head and along its back. And he said it was not alligator predation, because when an alligator bites, it bites and it twists, and it would do it on its limb or its tail. And he said this was bitten out of its back, and that could be big cat behaviour, but it had been placed not on the trestle on the bank, but on the first one on in the river. So you'd have to stand in the river to do it. And it was up on the trestle out of the water, and it had been covered, and there was a strange turkey wing with it, and it had been covered up with a big piece of bark. So while they were doing that, his son sees something up the trestle track, and when he looked, he said whatever it was as big as the road sign. So they were all a bit excited and a bit out of breath, and he said whatever it was watching them from the trees. It was kind of doing that peeper thing that it does. So he did go back and he measured the road sign to try and get a height comparison, and he reckons it about 8 feet tall. He said it was all one colour, it didn't have clothing on or anything like that. The alligator had gone, there was no signs of it. So we have got photographs of it on there, and then photographs of it the next day when it's completely clear. There was a split turtle that had been completely split open and eaten clean on the inside, and a number of what I would call dens. I'm not talking A-frame bushcraft shelters, I'm talking like kind of mounds within the ground that are moss overhung, and there's a small opening, but when you look in it's a lot bigger. I'll put a link to some images for it actually in the description so you can have a look at them. Because I've got them all up and ready to go on video. I've just not released it yet. I think everybody's getting a bit sick of all my videos, so I'm trying to not put them out as often. Yeah, so that is all of the reports that have come in. So that is just this month. So probably from weeks into April. And that's took me 45 minutes to read all that out. And so that's how often they're coming in. And that isn't all of them. There are some that I've sent out to other people to deal with. So I've not even had a chance to read them yet. So what they'll do is they'll do like the spelling edits and all of that on it and copy and paste it and do all the working out of it. And I'll just speak to the witness, and then we get together again, and then you get to enjoy the report. Which brings me to YouTube memberships. It's a new thing that YouTube have brought out. It's nothing to do with me. They have decided in their wisdom that they will offer people memberships to channels. So I think this is like 3. So they've asked all of us YouTube creators to let you know that when it's just gone live on my channel today, basically, nothing is going to change. You're still going to get the same videos. You're still going to get the same community posts. Everything's going to stay the same. It just means that if people feel that they want to, they can become a member of my YouTube channel, and that's from YouTube. I don't really know the behinds of it. If it works like Patreon, it's just basically it's $1.99. You can say, right, I will give you $1.99 a month, and for that $1.99 a month, I would like some site reports that other people have not got, or site reports that have not come out before. So along them lines. So for $1.99, you'll get daily community posts, which you get anyway. It would just mean that those members would see them early. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about that one. They've done it for me. It's gone up, and it's basically, I think it's $1.99 a month or $3.99 a month. I think I've only gone for those options maybe because I don't expect people to have money, and I don't expect people to send me any money. It's just YouTube have decided to do it. I think it's because they brought out the premium, so people can pay not to see adverts anymore. So most of us on YouTube, where you think, oh, they're all earning ad revenue, we're not, because most people are watching it with no ads. So that's all worked out the window. So hardly any of us I've not made anything off YouTube, but I can't remember how long. Believe me, things are tight here at BBR. There's not a whole lot spare going on. But yeah, so they've decided in their wisdom to do this thing. So when you see it, don't feel pressured into it or anything like that. It would be nice if I got the odd, membership, but I either will or I won't. The universe will provide, I think. So what's next? Yeah. Chris Murphy, who runs Sasquatch Canada, puts out a monthly, actually I think the weekly article. It's like a magazine, an online magazine, and I always add them into the BBR article. So these from 97 to 102, so there's quite a few weeks worth. Really interesting topics. And so I have the links for all of those. If you would like them, just let me know and I'll pop them over to you in email. So that's done. We've done everything we needed to do. So let me jump over to the chat. So anybody who's watched just to listen to the sighting reports, you're probably going to want to tune out now, because I'm just going to answer some of the questions. So Ritual Psychic, there's GPE. Susie. Our Susie. 1 second. I've just got to turn that off or it'll make everything lag. Right, there we go. Let's have a look what we're chatting about. Hopefully it's not that bloody virus. Right. GP, are you talking about the killing story of Patty? Because I saw something that came out this week, and I think it was Bobby Short talking about it. Now, Bobby Short's been passed away for a number of years now. She'll share the link with everybody. And it's her talking about that particular subject on... Yeah, I think we're on about the same thing, GP. I bookmarked it. I remember watching it years ago when Bobby first did it, because she's one of my... probably the first female Bigfooters that I knew about, other than Orson Williams. And Bobby's done so much. So I do remember watching it at the time, and it's come round again, hasn't it? I don't know if somebody's done a video on it or something like that. One of our members actually worked with Bobby Sharp for a long time. A gentleman called... oh, better not say anything. He's not on the thingy list, is he? Well, yeah, if you're interested, I can get in touch with him and I'll get his take on it, because he worked with her. He was like her stew. He worked with at the side of her for years and years and years. So it got sent to me today, and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. But I will. I'll have a read of it. But if I remember, honestly, it was awful, wasn't it? It was like a massacre. I see David Ikesman say, yeah, I noticed that he'd been censored again. I did a video on the lockdown, and it's they're saying it's due to algorithms. They've took it down, and I can't, unless I rephrase it. It was just, I think I titled it, would COVID have an effect on the British Bigfoot? So nothing out of the ordinary, and it was just asking that. I'll answer that one in a second, Natural. It was just that, it was about whether, if they are very human-like, could this pass? And so I was just thinking out loud, and they took it down. They wouldn't let me post it, and they said their algorithms have flagged it. It would seem that lots of people's videos are going down on that very subject. Both my maps went down for no reason for 10 days. Now, that's impossible, because they're not out there on the web. They're actually my Google, because I started it in my maps on Google. There's no way that they can take it down. So that would mean that the whole of everybody's Google map had crashed. So, and for them both to go down at exactly the same time, and it's not happened to anybody else, it's really, really strange. It's never happened to me before in all the times that I've had them. And suddenly, for 10 days, nobody could get onto my sites. And also, a number of people messaged me and said, Deb, have you sent me an email today? And I'm like, nope, not sent you an email today. There's a lot of that going on. So I meant to mention that if you're a BBR member and you get an email off me, I will make sure that I put BBR legit, so that you know it's off me, because it would seem that either someone's trying to hack me stuff or someone's trying to shut me up. So it's one or the other. And regardless, it won't matter. Do I have any sighting reports? Someone's just asked Morecambe. I should know this off the top of my head, shouldn't I? We pull my map up. Definitely there at Forest of Bowland. Because we have 3 reports. I'm not sure. I don't think we do have any Morecambe way. We do have them. I think probably the closest it's going to be to you. It's taking me up ages to come up. Just give me a second. Hi, Lotsie. Lotsie's report will be out next week, I think. I've scheduled... I think Lotsie's is coming up. Alien, there's one of the aliens coming up. There's a supernatural one coming up. I've tried to cover quite a few. And then obviously the new sighting reports that have come in. I might be able to answer that question if my computer would play ball, but it's not. Right, Deb, think. Morecambe. Where's the nearest one you've got to Morecambe? Don't know. And I don't know why it's not loading. Funny that, innit, when I talk about my map not working, it suddenly my map's not working. Hiya, Lee. I should have been in Bollum with Lee last month. 2 weeks ago. I was just saying at the beginning of the live feed, I think I'm going to have to cancel the Nottingham one now. Because the Nottingham meet would have been June the 6th, and I can't see us being out allowed in crowds till then. So, what's embarrassing lots there? It's gone right off the top of my head, that one. I know I'm gutted, Blake, I really am. I can't get my flipping computer to come up, my maps to come up. I think it's having a bad day. Oh, hang on a minute, signs of life. Hey up. I honestly don't think I've got any Morecambe, you know. I think Cumbria, off the top of my head, and Martin May are going to be the closest. Right, let's have a look. I absolutely love Morecambe, by the way. I used to go there every year when I was a kid. And then me and Mewby go there quite often in the car. I like, there's a quieter beach further down, not the Morecambe one. Oh, what's it called? Right, let's have a look. Heysham. The little beach there at Heysham that I like. I got to admit, Spirituals just brought up the point that this lockdown's going to go on for ages because, like, as we all know, there's a lot more going on than some dodgy virus. I honestly don't believe it's just happen chance. Yeah, the world markets have crashed. There's thousands dying of something, but some people are saying they're absolutely fine in the morning and by the afternoon they're dead. That's not a virus. I think it's a chemical weapon of some kind. That's my personal theory on it. Or that bloody 5G, but you can't say that or your channel gets stuck down. Because that's the thing that gets me about picking when they censorship. Because they don't censorship paedophilia unless it affects the BBC, then they'll censor it. But I mean, like YouTube, worst deprived thing you can think of, you'll find out there on YouTube. But you mention anything that's topical, like the virus, or the fact that thousands of people are dying across the world, and your YouTube channels are going down. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, got me map up. The nearest I've got to Morecambe is we've got the 3 reports in Forest of Bowland. We've got one from a lady and Jen on the Tramper Trail, the one that you can go on if you're disabled. You can get little 4x4s that take you around. It's really nice, actually. She was near the Working Man's Club there, and she saw what she described as a naked, hairy, tall man. Not tall in a human way, that's how she said it. Not tall in a human way, like really, really tall. And he ran out of the bushes into the forest on the other side. So they just turned tail, got in the car and drove off. The other's a young girl who's out with a family. She was about 11 or 12. She said she was playing in bowling on her own, not in, out there on her own. Family were there having a picnic and everything, but she'd gone off on her own. She's having a play. And she said she noticed this thing watching her from behind a tree and it was peeping like that, but it had a snout. She said it wasn't your typical Bigfoot type thing. It looked like a werewolf. It had a snout. And it didn't do anything to her, but she was so frightened, she turned to run off and she ran smack bang into a tree. Oh, I shouldn't laugh, should I? Smack bang into a tree. And Chris Eubanks to know well. And she said it was just watching her, like kind of peeping out and kind of watching her. And then the other one's a gent who's ex-army and likes to camp out rough. He likes to tarp it. So he's up on the crags there. She's got a bedroll and a fire. And he said whatever it was, he couldn't see it outside. You could just see it get just to the edge of the firelight, so you could just make up something was there, but not near enough so that you could see it clearly. He said he would describe the movement as like your typical World War I soldier going over the ground on his belly with a gun in front of him. He said it was belly crawling like that around and coming a bit nearer and going away and coming a bit nearer and going away and coming a bit nearer and doing that in this semicircle all night long. And he said all he had was a rock to the back of him and the dilemma of, do you stand up and walk out and hope it doesn't chase you, or do you sit there, pardon me, and wait till the morning? So That's what he did. He sat there and waited till the morning. And he said it just slunk off after about an hour later. So yeah, just those. So there is also a report a little further to the south on Longridge Fell. And I was just going to point out, Kevin's just asked in the chat if I think rivers, as this chap's just asked me, is there any around Morecambe? I used to think it was the town and the surrounding the town that was important. But now, all these years on, I know that most of them are close to rivers. Around estuaries, we get a crop of them, like a hot spot of them. Say, any river that connects from Burnley, below me, up to Morecambe, and then from Morecambe out, say to the Dales, you pick any spot on there and follow it in and out. That's what I do if I was looking for a place to look at. And if anyone's after looking for a place, just email me and I'll go on my map and say, let me know where you are, and I'll go on my map and have a look and tell you where I think the best place, pardon me, to go and have a look is. Because what all you want really is river or a small stream, even a brook, somewhere where people don't use, even your odd dog walkers would. If you can find a nature reserve or something off track, you might find sign doing that. There's an awful, just out of the way places that you can go. I can kind of triangulate a place for you on the map, but the best advice I can give is put yourself between water and something that you think's important. So if you've got a nature reserve here and you know that the river goes that way, just look anywhere in between that spot until you hit a sweet spot and try and find it. I had a chat with Mick. I told you I was talking to Mick McLaren, and I said to him, how quickly after you decided to go out and look, because he's a new researcher to this, I mean, his skill set is in other realms, but for this, I asked him, once he got interested in the British Bigfoot and decided to go out and look, how long did it take him to find something? And he said immediately. He just had a look around. He looked where the sighting reports, put them together with his ley line map, you know, overlaid them and chose an area that worked for him, and they found him, and then they were on him, and it was a quarry area. So each area of the country will be different. And if you're in the fens and it's flatlands, there are still a couple of reports down there. People think, oh, you know, there's no massive amount of woods near me. Doesn't seem to really matter, to be honest. If we're looking, eats and takes water in, they've got to be in the rivers and the water sources at some point. And they always throw at us that the United Kingdom's too small. But sometimes that too small works in our advantage, because it means that they would have to crisscross for food sources. They're not just going to stay in one area forever. It wouldn't work like that. Within 5 or 6 weeks, you'd be out of food sources. That's why humans had to keep moving until you settle and you farm. Well, they don't farm. So they would have to have a circulatory route of food. Probably follows the seasons, I would imagine. But it would be between the coast and the middle of the UK. And that seems to be what's happening, because, as I say, if find an estuary, you'll find reports around the estuary, and then you follow those rivers in, so like the Trent, all of them really, the Use, the Dee. I am so used to finding reports next to rivers. I look for them now. I think, right, I'll have a look to see how far away the river is. Because when you think on, every river has a stream coming off it, a brook coming off it. As long as that's a water source that could be utilised, then why would they not be there? They might only be there for 1 week in the year. They might be there all year round. It's a bit of a, what do they call it? A crapshoot? A crabshoot? Something like that. I'm not a gambling lass. You just go with your gut, decide, think, right, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go there, and go and have a look and see what you find. And if you're not successful, get in touch. And I'll either try and team you up with someone. Mark! I'll try and team you up with someone. I need a drink. See if I can get him to hear me. Problem when you have a carrot. Can I have a cold drink, sweetheart? Cold drink? Yeah. Where was it? Yeah, so just email me and I'll try and put you in touch with somebody that does research in that area. Oh, I'll try and find you somewhere yourself if you're a bit of alone and you just want to go out and have a look on your own. I'm sure we can pin it down. Alright. I can't see chat coming up. Oh, good night, Jamie. Sorry I missed you. I had it on the wrong page. I have not got the virus. I've just got a dry throat from talking. Oh. I was hoping Mark could bring me a cup of tea up, but he didn't.
I'm doing your best now.
One second. Oh, sorry about that. I needed a drink. Natural Ginger's just asked me about my regression. I've not been regressed back to the day yet. I would like to be regressed back to the day. I'm helping me with the conference. He's also the hypnotherapist. Got the virus, so he ended up very, very ill. It was touch and go there for a minute, and he's only been home a matter of days. He did manage to get me to go under eventually. It wasn't easy. And we did manage to get a past life regression, and I have filmed it. I'm just really shy about putting it out there for people to see. It's a bit strange. Never been hypnotised before. It was a really strange situation because I thought you'd go off to this other world. I thought it would be like astral travel, or, you know, deep meditation, but it's not really. You're aware of what you're saying and stuff, because your brain goes, no, that, because they ask you your name and you give them this name and your brain goes, no, that's not your name. But I remember where I lived and what it looked like, and I remembered that I didn't have a mum. I knew that I had a dad and a brother. I knew what my name was. I think I was about 7 or something like that, and I told him what clothes I had on and everything. And honestly, I was just annoyed because he was talking to me. I think I was perfectly happy in my life, whatever I was doing, and we went to 3 parts in my life. And I remember just thinking, why is he asking me these questions? And it felt like I'd only been out about 5 minutes. And then I woke up, I was crying my eyes out and everything. But I am still a bit shy about putting it in, and I woke up and I was crying my eyes out. I was really upset about it. But I do remember a couple of things. I remember being really proud of the celebration. I think it was the first time that I'd been allowed to wear a long skirt, and I felt really grown up about it. I remember that. And I just remember just being really, really pleased that I had this skirt. I was with my dad, and he was passing away. And I knew that he'd been cut, and he was sick from the cut. And I was putting water on him from a wooden bucket, like mopping him down kind of thing. And I knew that my brother was with me. And I could describe the house. It wasn't an A-frame. It wasn't like the old, when you see them and they're round and it's like wattle and daub at the bottom, or stone at the bottom, and then you have this round house. It wasn't like that. And it wasn't an A-frame. It had like a stone bottom and then a roof, but the roof was dead long and slim like that. And there was a fire in the middle of the room, and then we were way back. I mean, there was like a bench, just a long wooden bench, and my dad on this trestle bed, and I was cooling him down, and I was sad that he was going, but that there wasn't anything. I couldn't have told you a whole lot about it, and I know that I didn't have another parent. So when he went, that was it. I was on my own. And the next time I spoke to him, I said I was very old. I was 36, which was very old. And I was just watching people celebrating, and I was really, really happy. And that's all I could remember from it. So in each of the things, even though my dad was passing, I was quite happy in my life. I knew that I hadn't been born there, and that we'd come there from somewhere else. And it was just really, really strange. It's, I don't know how to describe it. It's not as frightening as you think. Hypnotherapy. Make sure it's with someone who you like, you know, you trust, you get that feeling for them. You couldn't put words in your mouth. Can I have some cake, please? You couldn't put words in your mouth. You can't under control what you do, and you just say to you that if you feel frightened or scared, you can bring yourself out of it. You can complete control of it, and you are. I was quite comfortable and warm when I come round. It was quite nice. And then I just said to him, yeah, I was happy to do it again. And unfortunately, he's, like I say, he's sick. And the lockdown and all of that. So we haven't been able to get together since then. Like with Mick, the guy I was looking at ley lines with, I went up to meet him just before the lockdown. I think it was the 13th of March, if I'm right. Because Mick traced the ley line, the one that's the line of Albany. My sighting report's directly in the middle there. I wanted to it's nothing, it's just sponge with a bit of icing on it. It's nothing amazing. Mark's probably been munching it while I've been talking. So, you gotta have cake, can't you, when it's lockdown? You just like, you'd be sad if you didn't have cake, and it's nice, that one. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so I was chatting with Mick, and he said, I'll draw it out for you, Deb. So he did. He put an enormous amount of work in it. He drew it out on a map for me, and I was able to map all of the reports in the Northwest, including the ones that I said here in Bowland, all of those, onto the map of this ley line. And there's a place, strangely, about 2 years ago, I was looking for a place to do a night camp. And there's a report in Holcombe from Army. And there's a bit just on the side of the MOD land where we could sneak in and have a camp. And I remember thinking, that'd be a cracking place to have a camp at night, because there's reports up there. So the line that Mick's following, till I spoke to Mick the other week. So we decided that it probably is a very good place for a meet, because the two ley lines cross there, so into Belmont way. So we went up there, and went up to the churchyard, and there was this guy there, not there at the time, a guy from the past. He was really, really annoyed because I was stood on his line, and he kept showing me the route that it went, and it was just people back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So Mick went back and he looked, and there was an actual route there at the time. So I must have picked up on that when I was there, because that's all I could see, that there was this route of people walking backwards and forwards, and that head off for Leyland and Charlie, which is when you think about it, they've all got the words lay in them, haven't they? So Mick the name lay in them, because I was calling them that, would we? Yeah, so it's been a month of that kind of thing. Longridge Fell. Is that you, Emu Cat, that come from Hubby? I've tried tracing the witness from there, because she said she was an American lady. And I've tried everything I can think of. So I thought, well, what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to put an advert in the free paper and say, if you are the lady that saw something strange at Longridge Fell, date, time, whatever, please get in touch at. Because I'd love to have a chat with her about it. Because that report came in a very long time ago, before people were making reports in the UK. So when I stumbled on it, I was really pleased. You're not allowed to have cake for breakfast. I wish I had cake for breakfast. It's not, it's just sponge, just a basic all-in-one sponge thing that takes a minute. Mark does it. I tell him how to do it now. And because I can't do it anymore with his damn hands. So he does the mixy thing and everything, and I tell him out, talking through the process, and then set the timer, and then tell him when to get it out and everything. I've got him really well trained. Don't say that. But no, because he's had to learn to do so many things. It's a shame. When I first met him, he was the type of man that would clean his telly with his t-shirt. And now we can bottom the house in 10 minutes, because as I've been able to do less and less, he's picked up more and more, and kind of roles have become a bit reversed. So he makes a cracking cake at the minute. And one of our neighbours, I wish she was on tonight, she's not here tonight, but one of our neighbours, young lass from next door, has been making cake for the entire street and taking it round. We've not done bad. So let's have it. Oh, meditation. I have trouble with meditation. I've always had night terrors, as they call them. And when I try and get in that meditative state, or when I get in that meditative state, sometimes my brain goes places I don't like, so I pull myself out of it really quick. It's kind of, it's a to and fro battle for me, is meditation. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's my worst nightmare. Because it's like, I keep myself closed off as much as I can. And when you meditate, obviously you're not closed off, are you? A million things will come in at once. It's like going on Facebook. The second you go on Facebook, you know what it's like. 50 people message you. Well, meditating's like that for me. So my friend gave me a tip. She said, don't meditate, Deb. Just let your mind wander. Instead of trying to concentrate on that black space all the time, just let your mind wander. And that's worked a bit better for me. So I've just been sticking with that one for now. You've never meditated, Susie? My mum used to be able to astral travel. I wish I could. She could go anywhere she wanted in her head when she meditated. And like, she's in her 70s now. She's got way more balance than me because she does that slow-mo karate, as I call it. She does Tai Chi a lot, my mum, and Reiki and all of those things. I grew up with a mum that meditated. It's kind of, it's just deep breathing, isn't it? Getting yourself into a relaxed state. And then just trying to concentrate your mind, but that's the bit I have trouble with. My brain just takes off and I wander. So instead of trying to fight that, I just let it, and then I tend to end up in a place where I find I've not thought about anything for a bit, and I think that's what it's like. I have terrible dreams, Donna. Always have done. I used to, another thing I'm a bit shy about is telling people about the weird stuff that goes on in my life, like the things I see at night around my bed and stuff like that. And the things that I saw when I was a kid and all of those things. I know you've got a lot going on, haven't you, sweetheart? Same as me. It's really hard to explain to people the things that you see and experience on a daily basis if you're not sure they'll understand, or you think that I already get enough eye rolls as it is about the Bigfoot thing. So to say to people, well, actually, I can wake up and there can be something there above my face when I'm in bed. I can wake up and these things biting and scratching at my lower legs and screaming and scream myself off some nights. So I get up the next morning and I've not got a voice, anything like that. All of that goes on. It's a right strange thing, but I've always had the lucid dreams. I've always had lucid dreams, and once in my life woke up with wet feet and I had a dream that night that I was running through this set of woods. And I kept running and running and running. It was just that over and over again, it's just running in between. And when I woke up, my feet were wet. And that absolutely terrified me, that. Absolutely terrified me. But yeah, I have awful, awful dreams. And I had them as a kid. Never slept when I was a kid. I used to make myself stay awake as long as I could. It's like, that happens to so many of us. I find I started writing an article about it the other day, actually, because there's lots of people my generation. So I'm 53, just 53. So what, say from 50 to 55, something like that, 50 to 60. Women of my age and gents of my age that have a very similar background to me, strange things happening all the time when they were kids, and for them, some of them it's UFO, some it's alien, some it's paranormal, some of them it's all mixed up. And as they've got old, and other strange things, because I speak to so many people, I see the patterns popping up everywhere, and I think, oh, that's another person who's going through the same thing. I used to think we were the minority. Oh, lower pole mode, let me stick my finger in. I used to think we were the minority, and the people that didn't have them were the majority, and it's starting to look the other way. I really do. I don't know if it's people, I don't know. I used to think that, say, 10% of the population had this weird thing that I had going on, and the rest of the world was completely normal. And everyone I speak to is like, oh no, it's the same for me, that. Oh no, it's the same for me. So it seems to be changing. There's lots of people who experience stuff when they're younger. They experience it through the teens. These are the people who say, oh, it goes away for years on end and then it comes back. It's kind of the same for me. And as you get older, the more you accept it, the more it comes in. I have the same dreams, Sue, they're awful faces and the things I see. And you don't want to have a dream like that, do you? So, like this idea that you get yourself relaxed and you go to sleep, there's a bit of trepidation in it, rituals that go on. Hence, I mean, look at all the dream catchers. That's not normal in a woman of my age. Yeah, but that's just try anything. I do sage, I've sage, it doesn't stop him. I've tried things off the doctor, I've tried everything. You know, turning everything off 2 hours before, chilling out, reading a book, doing the whole 9 yards. My entire life, my dreams are so realistic, yeah, that I hate them. I can feel the pain in them. So it's like whenever something's happening to me, I can actually feel it. I absolutely hate it. It's me one struggle, even worse than my legs. If I could swap, if somebody said to me, right, you can have your legs back, so you can run, you can do whatever you want again, or we'll stop your dreams, I'd stop my dreams. I'd be like, I don't care about my legs, stop my dreams. I hate it that much. I get embarrassed if we go to an hotel. I get embarrassed when we go camping because I scream my head off like I'm being murdered. And then people, I mean, you know, it's just he's so used to it now that he says, oh, it don't matter, but it does bother me. It really, I suppose you can tell from the way I'm getting words up. It is, Natalie, you're right, sleep's a vulnerable time for me. And for most of us, because we're at that I think that's what it is with me, because when I wake up screaming, I'm fighting as well. So it's not like I'm paralysed and I can't move. It's not that. I'm fighting and kicking and hitting and trying to attack whatever it is that's coming at me, kind of thing. Don't know. Strange things. I mean, the amount of people who I meet who say to me, something's stood at the side of me or touched me or held my hand, and you think, oh God, I know exactly what that feels like. I've had situations where I've had horrible times like that, but then there's been other times that have been nice where I felt like the cat it's the one thing. What? I didn't understand that. What, psychotic dreams? Let me have a look. I'm just trying. Oh, I see. Right. Yeah, I know. I don't think it's drugs either. I mean, I didn't have drugs when I was 7. You know. I think it's different for all of us. That's the hardest thing about talking about it. Exactly that. That's the first thing somebody goes to, is that you're on drugs or you're a psychotic or you're not well or you're ill in some way. It's not. It's, you put this fight up against it all day long, and the only time you can't fight against the strange stuff that's going on around you is when you're at your weakest point, when you're asleep. And it's tiring, night after night, day after day, night after night, day after day. It's like this war going on around you all the time, and you're getting pulled in 2 parts. And the first thing anybody ever goes to is your mental health, or you know, what you're smoking, what you're drinking. And like, I drink tea and lemonade, so it's not like I wouldn't do anything that'd make it any worse. It's like, I need to take statins for my health. One of the side effects of statins is lucid dreams, so I won't take my statins because I don't want anything that will trigger that cycle again, because once I start, it goes on for weeks on end until I can get myself in a position where it doesn't happen for a few months, and then we're off again. Yeah, so for some of us, it's just been that's been like that our entire lives. And then you get to my age and you think, well, like, there's no point me denying it anymore. And I'm sick of explaining it to people, and I'm not going to apologise for it to anymore. It's hard enough having to deal with it. It's like a really daily fight trying to have to deal with it. So I think on that note, I'm probably going to wrap things up and go and chill myself out with a cup of lemonade. Oh. Right, so I will see you all next week, everybody. No, not next week, probably the weekend after. If not, I will arrange it. I'm sorry, that's really threw me, that. Really has thrown me energy in for a loop. Chill, Deborah. Yeah, somebody suggested melatonin to me, to be honest. One of the little lads over our street didn't sleep like me when I was a kid, and the doctor gave it in for him. His mum suggested it for me. So, any new reports that come in, I will either pop them on the community tab on YouTube or a little video. I'm going to try and keep my videos as short as I can because I don't want to keep swamping you all with videos all the time. So you will be definitely hearing from me this week. And if you're all out there, don't forget to stay safe. I bet you're all sick of hearing it by now, aren't you? Just do whatever we have to do so we're still here with each other next time. Well, good night, everyone. Oh, I can't turn it off now. What am I doing? There we go.